conversation on innovations in aerospace. We have Indu Tholia with us, who is the CEO and founder of Telepresence. And we have a very fantastic, diverse panel representing different geographies, different organizations. I think we have panelists from India, from Thailand. Todd is actually in Paris at the moment, not in Thailand, but he lives in Thailand. We have Vivek from Dubai, and I think Antonio is going to join from Paris. And obviously, we have different kind of insights that we are going to get on the innovations in aerospace today. But before diving into the panel and the exciting questions that Indu is going to ask, I would request our panelists to do a brief introduction of themselves, of their organization, and then I would request Indu to do a brief introduction of her, and then dive into the panel questions. So starting with Todd. Todd, would you like to do a brief introduction, please?
Sure. So I'm the founder and CEO of Block Aero. We launched this company in 2017. I worked in the aerospace and defense industry for 13 or 14 years prior to that. And I saw a lot of pain points around the management of data over a long life cycle asset. And I was trading those assets and working in the supply chain myself. I discovered blockchain when I was living in Shanghai in 2016 because everybody was way ahead of the curve on blockchain there. I didn't think crypto was the only use case for blockchain. So I said, how can we apply this to aviation? And we brought into production the world's first aviation blockchain platform. We've received investment and adopters from some major players in the industry, for example, Japan Airlines Group. And then we also are working on rolling out, and actually this week we'll be announcing a big application we've developed for sustainability in aviation. So pleasure to be here today. Happy to learn more also about what you guys are doing. Thank you.
That's amazing, Todd. It's a big deal to work and get the investment from Japan Railways. Obviously, their due diligence process is extremely comprehensive. So congratulations on that. And I'm sure that Indu and Ritesh is the co-founder and CR of Telepresence, would love to connect with you later and pick your brain on how to work with organizations like Japan Railways. But moving on to the next panelist, Chandrasekhar, please do an intro.
Hi, good evening. I'm Chandrasekhar. So I represent Autrix Systems. I'm a co-founder with Autrix Systems. So we are an aviation IT focused, you could say, a product development and a services company. Okay, we are a funded company, and our parent happens to be the same company with whom we do services, and we've been doing services for them for 5+ years now. Okay, happy to be here, pleasure to be connected, and it's always, interesting to always keep talking about aerospace, defense, and aviation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Chandrasekhar. And Indu, as you may have seen, there were a lot of exciting comments about Chandrasekhar's presence in this panel on LinkedIn. So yes, people were really excited to see him in the panel. So I'm sure that he's a big shot in the aerospace industry, and we'll quickly figure that out in a couple of minutes. Vivek?
Hi, Pankaj. Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting me here, Pankaj. So I'm Vivek Khandelwal, based out of Dubai, working for Tech Mahindra as a sales director for Middle East Africa, handling mainly travel, transportation, logistics as a vertical. So at Tech Mahindra, aerospace is a very focused vertical for us, and we do work with all the leading aircraft manufacturers, engine manufacturers, as well as with MRO outfits of the airlines. So looking forward to the discussion today.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Vivek. And I'm sure you will have a lot of insights when Indu is going to present Telepresence solution and get your feedback. So really appreciate your presence today. Now, I would request Indu to do a brief introduction and then dive into the panel. Indu?
Sure. Well, Well, thank you very much for all of you to be a part of this panel and be a part of this conversation. Very excited to be in the same room as all of you and, sharing ideas and exchanging our experiences and learning from each other. So thank you once again, and look forward to the next 1 hour. A little bit about myself. I'm Indu Tolia, CEO, founder of Telepresenz. And I also have Ritesh here, who is a co-founder. This is our second business together. This specific product or platform that we started to develop, this company rather, was founded in 2018. And I'm a technologist by background. Worked with software delivering enterprise solutions for many, many, many years, and then a lot of different types of products as well. Realized that there was a fundamental need for supporting frontline workers. So kind of started with that. And then when wearables sort of kicked in 2015, 2016, sort of tried to see how we could best leverage and keep workers safe by, empowering them with not just the ability to communicate with people that they needed support from, who weren't there locally available, but also give them, tools like wearable devices, make it hands-free, make it, make the user experience for them very simple to be able to retrieve data and so on and so forth. And I'll talk a little bit more about our platform. So that's been sort of our journey. And, we are currently, like I was mentioning earlier, Todd, we are currently in MRO transportation. We've seen some successes there, and we're sort of growing in that area pretty rapidly and comprehensively, let's say, because, we're able to bring in those key drivers that will really bring in efficiencies and safety for workers in that specific industry. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself, and we'll, look forward to hearing from you all. And I, will pose a few questions. I would love to learn from your experience and expertise, what your thoughts are about this industry and how, where you see it go in the next few years. Good. Pankaj?
Thank you. Yeah, no, this is fantastic, Indu. So why don't we start with the panel questions? Would you like to go ahead with the first question, please?
Sure, absolutely. So, as leaders in the aerospace industry, one of the first questions that I'd like to pose today is, what are some of the, your bigger, frustrations in what the industry is going through right now? And I'm sure that, there's a common denominator across the board, but I'm sure you'll each have some very specific areas that you'd like to talk about. So I'd love to, hear a little bit about that. So maybe we'll start with Chandrasekhar first, and then Todd, and then Vivek. If that's okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thanks, Indu. So I didn't, quite an interesting question though. So I wouldn't say it is a frustration as such, but as and when we keep talking to our customers, a couple of pain points we keep hearing from most of them, predominantly being them being able to adapt to the latest technologies. And when it comes to aerospace industry, there's always been I would say a gap that they're not migrating into a cloud platform. They always feel that cloud is something that's not safer for the aerospace industry. That's one of the other big challenges. And I'm pretty sure, I think blockchain is going to be a next big thing that's going to happen. And especially that's the need of the hour when it comes to the MRO industry. So I would try to, emphasize more on these 2-3 points, that these are a kind of a pain area or a challenge that any aerospace company or an airline would have to give a serious thought into, so that they can start moving towards the next gen platform. That's when they get, they open up the market for many innovations and technologies that can be implemented within their organization.
Well said. Yeah, we see that the aerospace industry in general is a little risk averse. And to your point, cloud has been around for several years, but they seem to be a little concerned. And I was just curious, is there any specific reason why there's such a, sort of big push to stay away from the cloud. If they're implementing any tech, it's looked at as it has to be within our buildings, it has to be within our servers. Has there been any sort of major infiltration of some types of data that they're scared to again face?
Especially when it comes to the airline space, they feel their data is pretty confidential, and they feel when we are on cloud, they are quite a good chance of being hacked by the hackers in the market. So they feel that is one of the reasons that they try to stay away from cloud. Second, I would say a couple of them have already invested a huge capex on having an IT setup and infrastructure. So they would still prefer to have it on-prem than migrating the entire architecture onto a cloud platform. These two have been, and third, yes, obviously it's the resistance to change. The IT people start feeling a threat for them. If cloud platform comes in, their presence might be questioned. So that's another big challenge that we always face, resistance to change to any new technology or platform.
True.
I think, Shekhar, let me add here to what you're saying, right? Because I think we are seeing change happening with airlines now, and obviously it cannot be across the board on all systems that will go on cloud. So usually we help our customers do assessment, right? And what we are seeing is the front office and the back office. That is your, your ERP, e-commerce sites.
Mm-hmm.
You will see now moving on cloud. I've seen a couple of large airlines in the region here who have already moved on to cloud for that. Your ERP systems, we have done for many airlines. We've done, say Oracle Fusion implementations, and airlines are going for it. What is happening is, if you see why there's a big chunk, right, of systems, especially your PSS systems, which are based on mainframes.
Mm-hmm.
Those you cannot move to cloud overnight because
Exactly.
you cannot move the mainframes on the cloud. So you need to have a private cloud or hybrid or on-prem setup for that. Second, aircrafts typically, if you see, these are mission critical. So your engineering data, again, they are avoiding to move to cloud. Reason is from a security point of view. Say if a cyber attack happens on the cloud, or someone gets access to these systems, they can take down a plane, and that is where until they're sure that they can manage this, they don't want to move it there.
True.
I think
Very true.
so. This is what we've been seeing with the customers.
Yes, understood. And to your point, it is sensitive data. We don't want this data to be accessible, but there are protocols in place
there are pockets where they are going for cloud. They are accepting it. So I have done projects with airline customers on Azure, on AWS. So they're very well taken.
Good. It's good to hear that people are now beginning to see that it's not an open, it's not an open access or open entry to anybody that wants access to this information. There's
and one of the main requirements is because most of the airlines are national airlines or country-dominated airlines, right? So they prefer to keep the data within that country. So if there's a presence of a cloud provider in that region, then they're ready to explore it.
Right. No, that's good. That's good to know. That's and keeping your data, Europe, for instance, even other governments, like other agencies, they need to have data within a certain region, and that's totally acceptable, and doable too. So, well, thank you for that, Vivek. Todd, what are your views?
Yeah, I share some of the points that were made. I think airline is indeed partially going more into the cloud. I think most of the resistance around that is defense driven and policies that are specific for each country, which makes it very hard. And this sort of is why partially one of the reasons why we're in such a bad situation. For the MRO industry in the aerospace side, I was at a conference about a month or so ago, and everything I've been hearing up till then and still today is that the biggest pain points are that we're capacity constrained. So when everybody downsized during COVID, laying off a third of their workforce in many cases, now today, the lead times have just gone out by a year or longer for some items, and this is causing a lot of pain in other parts of the business as well as a result. I think also the operational disruptions is another big one for players in the MRO industry. If data is causing operational disruptions or can avoid operational disruptions, then that's something that I think software and technology can play a role in. So doing more with less and avoiding the big problems. And then on the blockchain point, somebody said earlier, I'm actually the sponsor on a SAE International, which is highly American focused, I would say, but also a lot of participation from India in this kind of standard setting body. And blockchain is on everybody's agenda from the regulatory perspective. So I think but at the same time, it's almost advanced beyond what if we're dealing with paper and PDF today still. And I think PDF is like 80% of how data is transferred, PDF over email. That's not, cloud is not less secure than that. And I think there's a lot of kind of comparisons you can help people see the kind of error and how they might understand that concept.
True, agreed. And there's a lot that can be done to Chandrasekhar and to Vivek's point. I think there's always a hesitancy for people to move into things that are new or not as legacy or that things that they're used to. But the fact that you're pushing that envelope and you're seeing success, Todd, which is pretty fascinating, because some of our experience has been, where it is very, very old school way of operating, of collecting data, of collating this data. And there's a lot of operational inefficiencies that is very obvious across the board. And yet the wanting, I guess they're afraid to change. And I guess that's in every industry, in every business, and every organization. Change is always hard. But yet some of these, even though we're inching it forward to have them adopt newer technologies, to feel safer around where their data is sitting, how is it being shared, who is accessing it. Blockchain, for instance, is something that is fairly new and people aren't rushing to adopt it. So just hearing that you're able to see some successes in that area, slowly but surely, I think that's indeed a positive sign. So yeah, that's great. Awesome. Pankaj, did you want to add something?
No, I definitely understand the concern moving from on-prem to cloud, right? And I understand that even companies like AWS or Microsoft Azure or Oracle are trying to do a very strong convincing from their own side to make sure that these big aerospace airline industries are able to move to cloud in a very sort of comfortable manner. But are there other frustrations, other challenges that you are seeing in the industry, whether those challenges maybe, or those frustrations maybe around how startups do function or innovate, or probably propose their solution to the Fortune 500, 1000 aerospace organizations, or it could be around policymakers. So, and I know Vivek, you may have really interesting insights on that, because you may be dealing with a bunch of startups or scale-ups or hyperscalers, and in some cases policymakers as well.
That's right, Pankaj. So see, often what happens is so a lot of startups who come, they focus on technology. They're very good technically. The guys are coming out of IITs and they would make some very fantastic products, but what they lack is the experience on the domain side. They don't understand actually on ground what challenges these airlines or aerospace companies are facing, right? And so this is where we come in as a bridge. So at Tech Mahindra, what we do is, apart from our own solutions, we do try to promote startups. We do take those solutions which we find has merit for our customers, And with our domain experience, we go as a team. So then we help them bridge that gap. Otherwise, often the customers, they face a challenge, explaining to them what they actually require.
Right. True. And, unless you're really able to highlight the value that any application or solution or product can actually bring for their groups and their business, it's not going to be relatable.
Absolutely.
So I think that is something that, startups can absolutely leverage on, because, even for our company, we don't have all the domain expertise and on the ground, what are the typical challenges that people face? We don't have that knowledge. And it's impossible to get that unless we have somebody that's, agreed. And I think that's a huge value add, Vivek, that groups like yours can bring for startups, bringing that type of experience and information and data. And that helps in also positioning the product and platform, knowing if that is something that can indeed support those types of various use cases. Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, so I feel like you described a little bit sort of one of my challenges and a reason why I try to, through osmosis to the non-aviation aerospace people in our company, have regular like educational sessions where like we just talk about a specific topic and try to relate that to then how this is why what you're doing in your job today is relevant, because if this doesn't happen, these people, so I think part of it is as if you're aviation maybe or you're vertical specific on an industry, you can do that. We're aviation focused, so indeed we have to be good at that and speak the same language. I think another thing that we did that was very effective was we did kind of co-creation, corporate innovation with Jalux, which is the subsidiary of Japan Airlines that we engage with, and they basically, like, we kind of have a Slack channel, we have weekly huddle or weekly alignment calls, and just a very close engagement with those early customers, I think, can get your team motivated. Make sure that what you're building is not completely useless to the people that are going to use it, and then that's where I think some possible ways of addressing those issues.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more, because that is something that is super, super critical, especially for a startup, right? I mean, I think for any business to take customer feedback and then really hear on a regular basis, not just a survey that's sent out once every quarter, but to really understand what are some of the issues that you're facing or how can we make it better. I mean, that's something that we have followed as Telepresence right from the beginning, is that we've been very, very sort of receptive to customer feedback. And especially with the earlier customers it's very important for us to know how to shape the product, because the market will tell us, and that's kind of what we believe, is if the market is telling us or the customers are telling us that certain things we may be too early on to bring these types of capabilities in. But if you could make something else easier with the platform, maybe we should focus on that. So that is something that we believe at our core has sort of shaped the product into what it is today. So I couldn't agree more with you. Chandrasekhar?
Yeah, just to add, I'm in total concurrence with what Todd and Vivek said.
Yes.
Having a domain knowledge plays a very vital role, being a startup or being a product development company. Unless you have the domain expertise, trying to build a product or trying to build a solution, what the market is looking at or what the customer is expecting becomes a big challenge. Right. Now, the blend of having an aviation and IT is a niche skill set to have. So fortunately, me and the other management team we've been in this space around. So, it's a blend that we have aviation and IT. So the current, I would say, the concept that we are building is a very niche concept, which we plan to roll out by end of this year. I wouldn't say it's a I wouldn't say it's a product. I would say it's a platform. We want our customers to come and experience the platform, and then we would want to drive it into the market. But yes, as a startup, there is a lot of grooming required, brainstorming required. So we in our organization, we've set a time every day, 1 hour. We would be discussing with the entire team about aviation concepts, so that the technical team also understand what they're trying to build and what they're trying to get into the market.
Right. And that you're right. You need both. You need a blend of both for it to be successful, because one will not work without the other. You can't
exactly
deliver anything without IT, and you need to have them understand and completely understand the end-to-end picture.
Exactly.
Versus, yes, agreed. One other question that sort of is sort of lingering in the back of my mind, but it's not related to the question I just asked is what do you think about the domain expertise within your industry? Because I've been reading a lot being published in different articles and news and things like that, that there's a lot of people that either are worried there's risk to the business because people are leaving, they're aging, they're retiring, they're not able to sort of be around and be as involved when it comes to these technical maintenance type or operations. Do you all see that as a challenge that your industry is currently facing?
It is a challenge because the people feel a threat for their own position when we try to say there is technology, there is solution. But at the same time, we just want to, bring it to their notice or bring it to their mind that we are not trying to, eradicate job, or we're not trying to remove them. We are trying to ease out their day-to-day work, the pressure, bring in operational efficiency, bring in cost efficiency. So these are various verticals that we are trying to explain and educate our customers that the investment that you're doing is not to scare you off, but it is to make you more competitive as we grow in the market.
Right.
I'd like to approach that from the maybe different angle. Our industry has a very long design cycle, right? So if there's problems in an aircraft like a 787, we had battery issues, like engines that are coming into service now, the latest generation technology are not staying on the wing, or they're not in service even as long as the previous generation. So why is that the case? Is it because we have less experienced people maintaining the assets? Is it because the people designing them in the last 10, 15 years were having less experience and that loss had already occurred? I think those are questions worth exploring. I think also, from our side, the people using our platform are mainly younger, like 30s and younger, and women, actually. And I think that's part of the nature of being in the back office a bit more on our side. But I think there's a need in our industry for people to see the opportunity. I mean, if you think about it, these are highly paid positions, and it's insane that we don't have enough people applying for these jobs. It's purely because, and maybe a big part of that is because we don't want to be inclusive with the digital transformation.
Right. And that's the fear of bringing in digital, right? It's the fear of, not having that clipboard and to check off things and sign it, because that's what we're used to. And then, now if we digitize things, we can get a lot more done quicker, but, what does that mean? Are they, so it's the fear of, to Chandrasekhar's point, maybe it's a fear of being replaced versus, they're them feeling empowered to, upskill themselves and achieve more and so on.
I think the seniors and maybe the middle managers feel fear being replaced. I don't think this is a problem with where our HR and human capital problem is occurring. I think it's not because people are worried about their job. It's because we can't get them in the job in the first place. And so if we can't address that, I mean, the 20-year-old guy isn't going to want to do the paper check thing that the 50-year-old guy did. Okay. So So we have to become a more attractive industry by being more digital. I heard some airlines in India, Akasa, they're going to be digital first airline. I heard them say that on the panel the other day. Great. That's the kind of like leadership that needs to be communicated to then the people that go and hire these people. So having these new solutions, next generation technologies, all of that stuff is part of that answer.
And you're right. And that's a part of how you attract this newer generation of talent. If you're attracting that, you're trying to sell them on the regular legacy processes and manual ways of doing things, they're no longer engaged. So you've lost them right there. So agreed. Vivek, do you have any experience with this?
I think, I'm based out of a region which has a few of the largest airlines in the world.
Right.
Whether you talk about Emirates, Qatar, or as Todd is saying, the new airlines coming in India. It's a happening market here for us, Middle East, Africa, and India. So what I would say is, any industry you take, right, there is a resistance to change for technologies. But what we've also seen is after every new wave coming of technology, more jobs are created instead of people losing jobs. The only thing is people have to reinvent themselves, get trained, right? The way of working is changing, but it is overall helping. The airlines are growing, the need for more aircraft is there. So the work is still there, right? And this is what we're seeing here. So we just now, pandemic for COVID has gone. Every airline, they reduce the number of people working for them, but now as we see, they're bouncing back and they're already at the pre-pandemic levels. They'll be hiring, and they're finding a shortage of people actually to do the work. That's where we are. Technology really, and to the point of Todd saying, right, that maybe a lower scale person is working on the aircraft maintenance. I think this is where the technology comes in, right? So today, when we're talking about, say, VR coming in, AR coming in, you might have an expert sitting somewhere offshore, remote in India or Germany or France, right, out of Talos factory, and then the lower skilled guy is here actually working on the aircraft, wearing a headgear and following the instructions what has been given by the expert. So I think technology is helping overcome that.
I think just to add to Vivek, the companies are actually taking a lot of initiative to upskill their people as well. Now, we've seen that there is in a couple of clients, there is a digital innovation team that's being set up, whose prime role is to identify the people who needs to be upskilled, identify the latest technologies or applications in the market. And one good thing that we've seen post-pandemic is the airlines are willing to encourage and partner with startups and smaller companies, where earlier they were not considering that as a big ball game for them. So that's been a big turnaround, I would say, post-pandemic, that startups are getting a lot of encouragement in the space.
That's really great to hear. And, we need champions of those types of use cases where there's proven metrics and drivers that we can show that, yes, Tech Mahindra worked with so-and-so tech or whatever it is, right? But this is how they solved a certain problem, and sort of bring visibility into the industry to say, this is what we did. This is how many, jobs were saved, or how we've gotten operationally, how things have gotten better, how we've lowered the risk, things like that. And I think that's great that, and as a startup, I think that this is something that we heavily rely on, right? We rely on these types of proven use cases to be seen by the industry, for them to be able to sort of relate and appreciate, and then start to work with us to say, hey, you know what? You're right. We've seen this with, Emirates or Qatar or whatever the, different airline was, and we've seen that. And let's talk now about what specifically and how you can do it. But it's a positive sign to see that shift. So
and we're happy that we have a platform like this where we can discuss. We should be thankful to you that we're having this platform now, which maybe we did not have 5-6 years back. Where we were trying to explain this, that you can also have a look at startups. We can bring in that lateral shift that is required.
Thank
There's
you.
something very interesting, Shekhar, on this. So Dubai, as a city, right? Dubai government, they run an initiative called Dubai Future Foundation, right? And what they do is every year there is a cohort which happens there. They invite startups to apply for it. All the different government agencies, they work with the chosen startups in the cohort, wherein Dubai government is actually giving you plane tickets for, I think, 2 or 3 people, hotel stay for the duration for the cohort, and from whichever agency chooses. So whether it is an airline like Emirates or the Road Transport Authority or Dubai Customs or someone, they would spend time with you in those incubation centers on developing the use cases. Once at the end of the cohort, if you have developed something successful, then they will actually take you on the commercial side to discuss with you on the project. Otherwise, you're done for the cohort and you can go back with no obligation. But paying you for your stay, for spending that time there, right? For your travel and stay, they are sponsoring. So what you're investing is only your manpower.
Exactly. One of the interesting thing is your position in the place where all larger airlines are, and each one want to compete among themselves who wants to implement something new first.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's a great place to be.
Yeah, that's kind of a UAE type of concept, right? I want to do it first. Like,
Yes.
I think a lot of companies don't want to do it first.
Yeah.
The older countries, older economies, older airlines, you have more legacy there. Here, everything you will find more. Sometimes I tell people, right, there's no legacy application out here to migrate because the airlines are all new.
Yes.
And like new means we're talking about now 40 years.
Right.
True.
But there's
Or
still
sometimes the corporations, they want to do it first and then they want to hide it from everybody else. So it's their competitive advantage. And that's also kind of not the best scenario to be in, and that's, I think, especially with the newer gen technologies, something people haven't heard of, or they heard of it recently, and then it becomes a thing they want to own, right? And that's a big corporate mentality, I think, that also gets in the way of progress sometimes.
right.
Agreed. All great points. That's awesome. Now I have a superpower question to ask you, which I think will bring an interesting set of responses. But if you had a superpower to bring positive change in the industry, what would you bring in, and why would you choose that? Whatever solution, process, policy, whatever it is. Chandrasekhar or Todd or Vivek, anyone?
See, quite interesting. Yeah, Todd, you can. Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
All right, I'll take a stab first. I was just thinking, if I could have a superpower to like shorten the design cycle of aviation products coming into the market, that's what I would do. Because today we're stuck with the same things, and then we end up getting stuck with them for another 20, 30 years. And this is a huge problem. It's so hard to introduce new technologies. So if we want to go hydrogen, or we want to even go hybrid or anything like that, it requires a clean sheet aircraft design. That's the only way we'll achieve the long-term aspirational goal of net zero, in a true sense of it, with zero emissions. That'll be very challenging to achieve in the time frame due to the that process of design and type certification.
Right. And today's design process involves not just the act of designing, but the act of actually testing out some of these designs to validate that it is indeed a viable design, right? It's not just, and that's probably the reason why they have to test different materials, tenacity. I don't know, from a safety standpoint, I don't know a lot about the design side of the business, but I'm assuming that has a lot to do with why some of this phase of designing takes 10, 20, 30 years, like you say.
It's because everything is built on a foundation of safety in the aviation industry. Right. It's always the number one value. It should be for almost every company in the industry. And because of that, we have huge regulatory requirements, especially on the front end, to certify products that are safe for the public to use. This is like for me, it's kind of like, I don't see how you could overcome it. That's why I need a superpower. But like, it
See,
it really prevents
you cannot ignore those
innovation.
standards.
Right.
You
Yeah.
cannot ignore the standards. You will have to go with those. I think what I would say is something related to talk, but I think more on sustainability, because today the entire world is struggling on that with the climate change coming in. I think if airlines or aircrafts can become more sustainable, that will be really great.
True.
True. And how, any ideas on how, what do you envision that to be?
So a lot of areas actually. So in fact, we have a complete playbook on sustainability, what we do for airlines or aerospace companies, right? So right from their energy monitoring to helping them reduce the emissions, there's a whole lot of things what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a separate topic which might actually take
An hour
an
by
hour.
itself, right?
Absolutely, because and especially so again the focus definitely is there. And we are seeing now for example, the manufacturers here in Middle East now they've moved to additive manufacturing. For example, 3D manufacturing is
3D
happening components.
Right.
If you see on the IT technology side, we're talking about green data centers coming in. We are on facilities management. We're looking at how do we reduce the energy consumption overall for the facilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I think every area is where we are touching upon and looking at it. Fuel definitely is one of the areas,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that industry is working towards hydrogen and hybrid and everything, electric as well, right? But all it is very important when we are also looking at a trend of urban air mobility coming in, where we're talking about air taxis.
Right,
And I
smaller.
didn't see that very far now, because already we are looking at pilots happening here every year. We're looking at people showcasing those models.
Mm-hmm.
So by 2030, 2032, maybe, people might start putting it into commercial usage.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we expect. So EV will play a big role there as well, because you cannot run so many private personal aircrafts or on aviation fuel.
True.
So
Yeah.
every area, I think that's been touched upon now. For example, for an aircraft to be washed. The other day, I think I was seeing a post from Indigo where they're using a robot for washing a
Yes.
plane waterless.
Mm-hmm.
So every area is being looked upon.
Right.
And,
Correct.
everything contributes there.
True. But there's no governing agency across the board that says, this is probably what we should be, focusing on in terms
No,
of
I would say everyone is very focused now. The sustainability is picking up like anything. Again, citing this. So the COP28 is happening in UAE next month.
Mhm.
I'm seeing here in most of the large corporations, whether it's aviation or non-aviation, they are having a chief sustainability officer in place now. They are I think globally, every large airline, I think they're reporting their sustainability numbers, their efforts. That is happening. We are seeing as an organization globally, every customer, they are ready to listen to us on sustainability initiatives, right? As a company, Tech Mahindra itself, we have been awarded highly on sustainability, and now we are helping our customers go on that way.
Mhm.
So I think every CEO's and CFO's priorities are there, because otherwise they would be penalized going forward. So everyone is looking at meeting those goals.
Those
They are
numbers.
looking at
Mhm.
solutions to report those tools, report those numbers.
Understood.
There's no more only financial number reporting; it's sustainability as well.
The overseeing regulatory organization is the ICAO, so the International Civil Aviation Organization, and that would be where all the
Right.
states have ratified the objectives regarding
Right.
the pace at which the emissions should be reduced.
Mhm.
And
SDG, they have
and then
already
each
signed up for
area
that.
has their own as well.
Okay. But you do get those insights or those directives coming in from that agency then?
Absolutely. So
There's
every airline will get it. they've signed up for the SDGs, which airlines should be going after. And so those guidelines are there in place, and every airline, I think, is working towards it.
So if I could add on that, so actually we have a strategic partnership with the ICAO, and so specifically what you're talking about is called the long-term aspirational goal, and that was ratified in the last year's assembly, where all the governments came together. And when they ratify this, this means that each regulator enforces it on their operators to report or to comply with, for example, the different SAF mandates. So at an international level, only for international flights, that's relevant. At the domestic level, of course, each country's own regulators will enforce different policies, whether it's carrot or stick. So US mostly carrot, Europe a lot of stick.
I see.
In
Interesting.
fact, there's also a paper from IATA. So IATA has laid down the strategy towards net zero. Right, and we're talking about what should contribute, how much percentage, right? So, for example, sustainable aviation fuel would contribute to a certain percentage, or how much should the new technologies be contributing? So, there's a whole study has happened. There's a study group for that. There's a working group, and they've published a paper as well.
Okay, very good, very insightful. Thank you very much, Pankaj. Do we have time to?
Yeah, I think Shekhar wanted to add a point on that. Shekhar, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up this point, like what Todd was mentioning. Another interesting thing, that even we are trying to work on or contribute is towards the digital MRO space. Where try to keep the shop floor as digital as we can, so that the turnaround time for the aircrafts are reduced, because that's one big challenge most of the airlines are facing right now, because it's pretty much a paper driven. To some extent it is automated, but it's not a complete digital space there. And as far as the regulation is going, yes, they are trying to put standardization in place. Say, for example, even when it comes to the smaller things like documentation, they are trying to adhering to industry standards like S1000D, ATA 2300. So I'm pretty sure the commercial aerospace or the airline industry is also now slowly moving towards document standardization as well, so that it can be uniform across the industry, that they start following a documentation standard, which definitely plays a big role in digitization and digital transformation as we go down the lane.
Chandra, I've got a question on that, if you don't mind. So I agree, like in the strong need across the whole industry to have this digital transformation, and especially MRO. That's a great starting point, because all the pain point for our customers, airline customers today, is exactly there. But at the start of this discussion, everybody was talking about cloud or not cloud and different rules. So in the end, everybody will have their own systems, their own ERP systems, their own whatever. Is it going to be Airbus Skywise or Lufthansa Aviatar or GE Predix, or, like, do the OEMs, are they the ones to bring this into the reality?
See, we've been in talks with a couple of OEMs as well, but bringing in this transformation at a OEM level, it's going to take time. Okay, these initiatives now have to be driven by the airline or the MRO whom they contact, because the moment you talk to a manufacturer, it's obviously going to take its own time and protocol by the time they either acquire you or try to build that solution or integrate that solution with the suite of products that they have. It's going to take time. So what we are seeing is now there's quite a lot of interest being generated among the airlines or the MROs whom they outsource their MRO activities, the airlines. So there is quite a few interests being generated on how we can digitize the content that comes out of the OEM when it comes to the maintenance activities. Say how we could automate things like service bulletins, task cards, e-signature, digital task cards. There's a lot of buzzword around that. So I'm seeing that we are heading towards a lot of disruption or digital standardization towards the MRO industry. But yes, that's going to be a a challenging task to implement, but at the same time, it's going to ease out a lot of other activities when we try to bring in a lot of digital transformation on the shop floor.
Thank you, Chandra. But I guess adding on to Todd's question, so they're all going to be disparate systems in the end, or is there?
See, it would be, I mean, at this point of time, most of the airlines have already invested on most of the ERP solutions. So one way is, if there is a company or a small startup who is willing to bridge the gap,
Correct.
so
Connector.
either he be the connection between the manufacturer, or he be the connection with the ERP system provider. That's something what I see would be happening in the coming future.
It's a great idea, Pankaj, for a new startup.
Yeah.
I don't want to disclose much, but yeah, we are on the track.
Okay.
And though this is the reason why we love hosting these kind of sessions, because you get so many interesting ideas from the experts, right?
Right.
So, yeah,
That's right.
It's a golden mine, right?
Agreed.
But I want to come back to Todd on the adoption of new solutions, adoption of new startup innovations. Shekhar was talking about airline industry, aerospace industries being risk averse. They may not be willing to move from on-prem to cloud so quickly, right? So while this is the challenge, you on the other hand have been able to propagate a blockchain-based solution to the airline industry or to railway industry or to Japan Railways, which is again extremely sort of comprehensive in their due diligence in the technology evaluation and things of that nature. So could you please share a bit about your process, how you were able to overcome those challenges? And again, blockchain is still, some countries are pretty okay about it, and some countries are still figuring out. Some countries go back and forth on the rules and regulations again and again every 9 to 12 months. So it's very, in a very nascent stage compared to cloud or on-prem, right? So please, some thoughts on that.
Sure. So, I think just like anyone else, we're, a part of it is first, like I was saying, how do you combine aviation domain? So I came from the aviation domain with the technology, software technology specifically, but then you could look at other technologies as well, integration of various ones. But in the end, you need somehow to make that happen first. For us, my brother is our CTO, and he worked at the biggest insurance company in America, doing some of their tech stuff in the background, and he that happened to come together very nicely. We were able to leverage that into communicating with these players in the language that they understand. But in the end, I think people are not risk averse for cloud or whatever. People are just risk averse. People don't want to take risks. So when you communicate your value proposition as a new solution, you have to navigate these large organizations and identify the fastest path to adoption for them. And for us, we figured out that we built something that does generically blockchain for aviation. And then to productionize it, we had to establish those use cases. So indeed, MRO is part of our go-to-market strategy. We thought MRO needed the transformation the most. So we identified opportunities within there. So within that, we said, let's start with engines. Let's start with engine parts and the parts repair supply chain, which is today the most disrupted and the most painful. People can't get their end. There's problems in the supply chain and the human resources and all of that. So their hair is on fire. So find the part of the business where the hair is on fire, and then explain to them why they should start as fast as they know they need to start as fast as possible, because that's how you're coming into it. And so then blockchain, there's also, especially years ago, we had to do a lot of education in the beginning of the process where we explain to them that blockchain does not equal crypto. We're not using blockchain as crypto. That's another big barrier for certain technologies like our own, is some people maybe lost a bunch of money on crypto and they have a very bad idea about this technology, and they're not going to want to work with you. So you have to, sometimes you have to, in the end, it's all about people, and it's about simplifying the message so that you, and then navigating, especially with those larger enterprises, the organization. That's how I would put it. I'm not sure if that was your question entirely, but hopefully that gave some insight on how we thought about it.
No, definitely, this is extremely insightful, and I know that we may have to have another deep dive on this particular topic, and I would love to have Indu and Ritesh in that call, because I'm sure we can learn a lot from the process that you have gone through.
Sure.
But yeah, I know that we are having a very interesting, very insightful conversation. I think our panelists are just getting started with the ideas, but unfortunately, we need to move on to the next part of the event, which is roast session. And I particularly like this part of the session, because in this session, we as startup founders are able to present a solution and get some real honest feedback from the experts. And when you have such experts sitting in front of us, we obviously don't want to lose that opportunity. So Indu, are you ready to present Telepresence solution and get some feedback, some guidance?
Sure.
Awesome. And just one more request is not only feedback, but also if you have guidance in terms of go-to-market, in terms of competitive landscape, please feel free to share that with us. Okay. So Indu, please go through the deck.
Very good. You're able to all see my screen, correct?
Yep.
Fantastic. All right. So here to talk about Telepresence and our product. Maybe I should minimize this so it's not blocking us. All right. Very good. So who are we? So Telepresence, we offer a SaaS platform that is empowered with a lot of different, tool sets and frameworks like augmented reality, AI, and ML. The idea is that we want to deliver better productivity, smarter decisions on the front line, as well as risk reduction for the business in itself. Our off-the-shelf platform is plug and play, but we also customize for various use cases. Again, this is based on our customers' digital transformation and where they are with adopting these types of technologies. We have, like I was saying, AI, ML, computer vision-based insights. So we have smart operations. I'll talk a little bit more about that with our digital workflow capability. We're supported in a variety of different wearable devices, just where use cases require for workers to be completely hands-free. So everything is voice activated and they can communicate, collaborate, pull up data and information and so on. We are a SaaS platform, but we do also support on-premise deployments for a lot of our customers who are, again, afraid of the cloud for various reasons or have regulatory needs and requirements where, data has to reside within their infrastructure. So we do have a hybrid as well as a private or a completely on-premise solution. All right. So moving on, a little bit about us. I spoke about myself. I'm the founder and CEO, and my husband, who is also the co-founder and CRO. And we have Surangshu, who is our CTO, has been with the company since inception and with the product since its inception. And we do have a few advisors coming in from various verticals that are able to provide that domain expertise as we build out the product or platform for those specific verticals. As founders, like I mentioned, we've exited our previous business once in 2018, where we were delivering enterprise software solutions. Our current customers for Telepresence include Honeywell, Tata Power, Government of Singapore, Heiko Aviation. We're in conversations with paperwork with Emirates and Qatar and a lot of other engine services companies as well. We were deployed for rail management, FIFA 2022, some of the feathers in our cap We were also nominated by Lufthansa Technik as one of the top 12 innovative MRO solutions, and then some rewards in New Zealand and Ingram Micro in USA. So currently we've got a global footprint. We've got established channels across everywhere through whom we actually sell, and we sell our solutions through these various channels, but we do direct sales as well. Moving on. So the industry problem that we're solving, the main industry problem, rather than go through all of this step by step, is the fact that there are a lot of skilled trade positions that are not filled currently. And the reason for this is because people are either retiring, or because of the aging workforce, they're not able to sort of be as involved in the business and support their teams. And this is primarily causing a lot of downtime for a lot of industrial assets, and response time, getting turnaround times to actually deliver. All of this is being impacted heavily. And the loss for this is pretty significant. And loss depends on whether it's industrial assets for a manufacturing facility, for an MRO, whether it's the aircraft being on the ground for extensive periods of time. These losses can be quite significant. So how are we solving? What are the problems that we're solving as Telepresence? We're looking to solve the problems to we're looking to improve turnaround times of anything, any asset that requires attention, that requires, to be fixed. We're looking to improve that by at least 50%. We're reducing downtime because we want these assets to be addressed right away. We are reducing the amount of travel that's required for people, instead of people, senior engineers, technicians, having to travel from place to place to address issues. You can do that remotely and quickly. We're able to bring in data visualization. So for instance, if a worker is working on a specific aircraft and requires to pull up the spec sheet, or requires to look up a how-to video of how this was done before, this specific repair operation or maintenance operation, all of this can be retrieved by the person that's working on the asset, as well as all of the work that the person is doing when he's working. If he's got a 20-step inspection checklist to cover, all of this data that he's actually performing and capturing as part of his inspections is being reported back to stakeholders in real time as well. So we bring in that visibility for both data coming into the field as well as data coming back from the field. And the easy accessibility to a frontline worker, whether it's calling somebody for assistance in real time, whether it's being able to pull up documentation, SOPs, checklists, instructions, any type of reference material, videos, all of that, or any type of data as well, can be accessed by the worker. So it brings in that much more operational efficiency. So he's not waiting for that information when he really needs it, he or she really needs it. Now, we also bring in worker safety with the wearables that we support. And knowledge capture is a big thing for us. The idea that we're not able to, a lot of the industries, a lot of our customers don't have a robust enough digital knowledge base that they can then use to train or upskill their existing workforce. So we have a capability within Telepresence that observes what one of these senior technicians and engineers actually does, and then documents it step by step as something that can be used to train other people in the team. So this is a big risk reduction to any group or business. It also folds in how-to videos of how this person's actually doing a certain step, or how he's performing a certain repair operation or an inspection protocol. Videos, pictures, all of that is also documented as part of this knowledge base that's then can be used to digitally train other people as well. So turnaround times, time saving, as well as cost saving is what we're really going for. I know we spoke about this, what industry are we focused in? We're industry agnostic because we're a platform, but our focus within the company is MRO and transportation, which is huge for us, energy and utilities, and mining, and a small segment of our business is also coming from mining. So our main use case is maintenance, repair, and servicing of equipment, whether it's aircrafts, whether it's rail, subways, bridges and tunnels, or any type of maritime equipment as well. But it's mainly any type of assets that require this MRO type of work. Inspections, assessments, auditing. We do have a very extensive reporting capability that some of our customers use to have all of their inspections be recorded, as well as they use it for audits as well. We focus a lot on worker and operational safety, and we are developing more and more use cases for this, how some of our customers are seeing telepresence be able to help them with compliance issues, safety issues, and help them reduce some of these incidents and fatalities that they're currently observing. So any type of use case that's going to require digitizing processes and then being able to use that, whether it's in terms of real-time issue resolution or just training people, Telepresence does support those types of use cases. So just getting a little bit more technical about our solution, we're very modular in the way we deliver our digital transformation capabilities. We've got a connected worker, which is a video collaboration piece that connects remote SMEs to people that are in various sites or various hangars, various locations. And there is a live video feed available for this person to then provide the over-the-shoulder guidance. There's a lot of tool sets and so on that allow for this person to provide that guided instruction and mentoring to the individual facing a crisis. And there's different types of markers, sharing of data, sharing of information, documentation. You can share videos. All of that is happening while you're still communicating on two ends. We have a way to capture these operations, whether it's SOPs, any type of workflows in form of instructions or checklists, can document all of these within our remote operations capabilities this way, and then these are assigned out to the operators. So they're not thinking about what all needs to be done. They're just going through a checklist and finishing everything that they need to do step by step. All of this data is actually recorded and reported back as well. So it kind of streamlines all of the operations across the board. Knowledge capture is a huge capability that a lot of our customers are leveraging to be able to build these workflows. They don't automatically have a lot of this information captured digitally. Now, how do they do that? Do they have to have somebody sit there and author, step by step what needs to be done? How are they going to recall everything that they are typically used to doing, these engineers are used to doing on a daily basis, but sometimes you miss out on things when you're sitting at a desk and trying to author all of this. So knowledge capture is something that can be done in the field. The person goes into the field, completes a typical checklist, or inspection checklist, or a typical, MRO type operation, and everything is captured and documented digitally, so they don't need to sit there and think about each of the steps that is required to be performed. And that's something that you can be used for training as well as for upskilling, or just as regular SOPs, and start to build that knowledge base of your workflows. Now, these three capabilities are completely off the shelf. When we get into smart operations, we are currently focusing on some use cases where we are bringing in AI, additional computer vision, ML-based workflows, where the system in itself will provide real-time insights to the inspector or to the person in the front line. So when the system detects any types of deviations to the norm or defects or anomalies, the system will then highlight what these anomalies are. Of course, based on what the use cases are, we may need to alert supervisors if it's a compliance issue, a safety issue. We may need to do that. So based on what our customers really see that the end-to-end workflow to be, we can customize those flows based on their requirements. So that's something that is a capability that Telepresence offers, our smart operations, but we require to work with a lot of data, and we have to start aggregating this alongside our customers. So this isn't something that you plug and play. And we've spoken about our target market. We are currently in North America. We've got business and customers in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia as well, and the Middle East. And we have plans to expand into EMEA and Latin America. And this is a quick product video that I'm going to play, if I can get it to play. but clearly it is not. All right, let me see there.
Digitize your field operations with Telepresence, an AR-driven connected worker platform that transforms remote operations, visual inspections, maintenance, and training by providing workers all the tools they need to execute complex tasks in the field efficiently and safely. Telepresence has a simple, intuitive user interface for job assignment, validation, and reporting. Invite guests on demand to sessions for immediate response and decision-making when time and safety are paramount. Telepresence is device agnostic, compatible with any commercial or ruggedized handheld phones, tablet, or smart glasses. Connect remote experts to teams in the field instantaneously with real-time instant information shared both internally and externally to increase efficiency and maximize productivity. Enable remote digital operations, monitoring, and training capabilities to securely service critical operations. Remotely control cameras for inspection and work validation. View walkthroughs for assistance and create instructions and checklists, all powered by voice activation. Facilitate continuous improvement in your organization. Subject matter experts in your field will create SOPs and instructions, including photos and videos as they complete the job. Standardized procedures are supplied as a custom digitized manual with every job delivery for a consistent onboarding and training while increasing safety. Revolutionize your workforce with a two-way communication system for troubleshooting, repair, and self-diagnostics. Save technicians time monitoring internal signals for potential faults on site with over-the-shoulder guidance and the benefit of integrated AR toolsets. Increase remote and mobile team productivity with faster job completions, less safety incidents, and improved efficiency. With multi-device support, various deployment options, and dedicated onboarding and assistance. Telepresence is about collaboration for everyone. Book a demo today to see Telepresence in action and learn how to improve productivity with your team in the field.
Okay. So with that, I am going to stop sharing and we'll look for some feedback and thoughts from our panelists.
I like the telepresence with the Z.
Thank you.
So quite interesting. It's a huge set of portfolio that you're trying to address, and I think most of the points that we discuss are here.
We're trying, but the what we do, Chandrasekhar, is we don't try to go in to solve all of our customers' problems at one time. We basically try and see what their their immediate pain points are. We address them. We're very modular in the way we try to implement and deploy, because we don't want to throw everything at them. We do have a lot of capabilities, but it can be intimidating for businesses. And change management becomes a huge issue when you're trying to solve many problems at one time. So we're very modular, and we try and give it to them in bite-sized pieces that they're sort of comfortable in deploying and their users are comfortable in adopting.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in here. The video was excellent. I felt like I really understood it after the video, maybe even lead with that next time.
Okay.
And, I felt, as an aviation guy, I felt, a bit emotional when I saw those like connectors at Heiko. I probably sold them in my previous company, the ones on the harness near the ECU. So it's like, that's good. I think that's really good. There were a lot of numbers thrown out early on that I probably question. But then again, you're combining multiple industries together. So suddenly I feel like it's not relevant to me, or I don't really understand what your numbers are saying, 50%, 80%. If I do 50% turnaround time reduction on my engine shop visit, I'm probably going to tell you that's impossible, but maybe it is possible. I just, you know what I mean? So from that perspective, you probably had vertical focused presentations, I'm sure. Yeah. how long from if I sign an order with you today to I've got technicians on the floor and the people in the back office can see what's going on?
Less than 24 hours. Typically, if it doesn't require anything, less than a few hours for you to get access. So we're very, very quick to deploy. Now, of course, if they need anything additional in terms of we wanted to deploy it on a specific cloud infrastructure, then we request them to give us at least a week to do that, just to make sure that we work with their IT and everything is set up the way it needs to be done. But if it's just standard access, a few hours.
It's never the startups that are the bottleneck, is it?
No.
We'll have the new
nailed
system in 24 hours. Yeah,
Right.
for yours, but they never work like that, right?
Yeah.
In
Now
the end,
Todd
you
is
have, as you
getting
said, the change
technical.
management.
Yes.
Todd is getting technical now.
That's right.
So, Indu, it was a nice presentation, and you really liked it. One question: so, do you only provide application, or are you giving it as a complete package along with the classes, or are you taking classes from Vuzix or anyone else? How does it work?
Great question. So for a lot of our customers, we offer a bundled solution because we help them with that discovery as well to identify if they're going for wearable devices, to identify which device would probably suit which use cases better. So we offer a bundled solution for a lot of our customers. And yes, we procure them because we're gold partners and things like that. We are able to pass on some of the discounts that we also receive from a device resale standpoint. But they're third-party devices. They're manufactured by RealWear, Vuzix, Rokid, Vigilance, so we've got a portfolio of different devices. CMO, which is another one.
And I believe you might be competing in the space with PTCs and G Digital, the Predix, right? They're also operating in the same space with remote worker assistants and similar solutions. So what is the differentiator for you compared to those ones?
Sure. So we don't say we're directly competing with GE and those solutions of the like. We actually are in conversations to integrate with those solutions so that it becomes a seamless. If one of our utilities customers already using GE and quite quite involved with their systems. Their frontline workers are used to seeing that type of data in the frontline and need access to it. So we're actually leveraging some of the capabilities of those platforms, but from a usability standpoint, we differentiate significantly because one, the way on the technical side is the way we work is for a connected worker or remote assist where somebody's in the field, they need to speak to somebody that's not there. We work in extremely low network scenarios, which is something that a lot of the solutions don't offer. Video is grainy, calls get cut off, all of that stuff. So we're huge on just being able to sustain video calls, clear video calls, and then be able to still have that person remotely be able to provide assistance. So that's one thing that's huge. Second thing is we have a portfolio, like what Chandrasekhar was saying earlier. We have a slew of different capabilities. So for a solution, we don't stop at, we're just a remote assist solution. For the customers that are going beyond just, I want to be able to connect people, to then say, I want to be able to then streamline a lot of the work that's happening, but I need a record of it, and I need to have alerts and reports come back in real time so we have complete visibility. We're able to offer that. And then customers who go beyond that to say, hey, you know what? I have something completely different. I have a scenario where I have operational safety issues. I need to be able to use your AR framework to now just detect if people are being compliant with the way they're, equipped with PPE, with gear, with helmets, with whatever it is, right? But I also want this to be reported. I want all of their, compliance, when they log into work and show up for work, and, I want that to be reported. I want those alerts to come in real time. Oh, by the way, I also need to call this person in real time and be able to communicate with them when I see that there is an issue. So Our differentiator is while we do offer at the very least a video collaboration capability, we're also the same platform that is able to support customers with some of their more involved digital use cases, right? And that can go beyond just the regular MRO type scenarios. I hope that addresses your question.
Yes, and one last question from my side. Since you mentioned on the slide, you're going by the use cases, right, for the specifically for MRO. So, do you already have some integration adapters available for the large MRO platforms?
We don't have ready-made adapters, but we are currently talking about integrating with some of the systems that we've done integrations with are like very old legacy systems.
Okay.
So the problem is that it's not a one size fits all, unfortunately. With AMOS and things like that, we're already in conversation to develop those adapters and make them more commonly available. So it's a plug and play.
Perfect.
And for tracks too. Yeah.
And I know Todd has a hard stop in 5 minutes. So Todd, did your question get answered already, or?
It was tangential to that. So I guess what I was wondering is how have you, so I've seen some of these other AR solutions, and they don't seem to be as much of a platform, but more of just AR, the ones I've seen like a headset and whatnot. And where it looks like they struggle is what I think you've done, which is you've integrated the maintenance manuals and the illustrated parts catalog and different things like that. And I'm just wondering how you're like how long did that? There's no way that could happen in 24 hours. Sorry to say on that, but like how are you doing that to get them really using it in the field that fast?
Well, so the first thing we're doing is obviously, when we're giving them access within 24 hours, within a few hours, really, right? So account is set up, they get access. Then we actually onboard them. So what we do as part of the onboarding is we show them, because we don't have access to that data and they will not give us access to that data, right? So we won't have access to those manuals and spec sheets and videos and all of that, images of inspections and previous flight visits and what they won't give us access. So we show them how to actually import that into Telepresence. We actually train them. And then we believe in training the trainer. So if it's in multiple sites, we have a trainer within the team in each of those sites and we onboard them. We also are able to leverage some of our channels to go in person to these sites to train people, because if they're venturing into wearables, it's a little bit of a difference between using a phone or a tablet or an iPad, where you're touching things and it's easier to sort of navigate. With the voice activated devices, it needs a little bit more training as well. So we send in our partners to be able to help that with that in-person training as and when required.
Yeah, I think that's very necessary, and I hope more companies take the initiative to invest in that instead of just talking about it, because it's needed to be done. And onboarding is like, that's why they're going to choose you. It'll be not only about, is your platform beautiful and the solution works, but then they have to work with the people, because really that's the only way you're going to get the adoption at the larger scale, right?
Correct. That's right.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see what are the other questions or probably pieces of advice.
Quite interesting platform. I'll connect with you on some specific use cases, where we could discuss in a bit more detail.
Sure.
Because something similar is what we also approach our customer. We don't want to hard sell anything. We want to work towards the pain point of our customers. So that's what we're currently doing. So maybe we'll bounce this, idea with you as well, and let's see if we can, work on that together as well.
Absolutely.
That's always highly appreciated. Yeah.
Than trying to all do it all by ourselves. So I agree 100%. And I like the idea that Todd said, maybe next time I should start off with the video, so it kind of brings everything into perspective, and then I can sort of break it down.
Vivek, did you have a comment or something?
No, I think it was a good session, Indu, and send me the details on the product. I'll connect you with our wider team as well.
Perfect.
Particularly who's working on the aerospace solutioning.
Awesome.
In fact, some of the details for other use case for other industries as well. So
Yes,
I think
will do.
this will go across other industries as well.
Sure. Absolutely. We'll do that.
Sure.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chandrasekhar, Todd, Vivek, and of course, the audience as well for being a part of this session. Really learned a lot, and it was exciting to actually just have a conversation, to see each other's experiences. And of course, the superpower question, I think, was was fun.
Yeah, no, I think these are the kind of questions when you talk about the frustrations and superpowers. These are the kind of questions that bring your emotions out,
Right.
and yeah, they essentially help us open up, right? So again, really appreciate Shekhar, Todd, and Vivek, your time and your insights today. Obviously, we would love to work with you, collaborate with you, and see how we can win together by collecting our strengths. And obviously, Indu will share more details about the product, and we'll schedule a separate session, deep dive to brainstorm the next steps. But again, really appreciate your time today, and let's reconnect soon. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Very nice. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.